I'm back. I didn't think I was going to be back, but I am, and happy to talk about a victory. If you do follow us over on Twitter at the Talk TV, you may have seen that I may have sneaked over to the television to watch the game whilst we was out, which means I am all up to date and ready to talk about it, which is fantastic. Apologies for, I think there's probably going to be some clashes going on. Unfortunately, this is the only 10 minutes that I've got. So apologies to the other sites that I know that are live. So I'm not expecting too many people to jump on, which is fair enough and fine. But yeah, we're going to talk about Arsenal 3, Dundalk 0, with some of the youngsters chipping in with some of the goals. So let's crack on. So, tricky one to talk about, really, because this game I was always looking at as, no matter what happens, there's going to be criticism. Like, whatever happens in this game, there's going to be criticism. And the reason for that is that Dundalk are obviously a side which are very good in terms of their sort of where they're standing in the Irish League, and the Europa League for them is massive. But even like a 3-0 victory for Arsenal is not going to necessarily be something that's looked upon as amazing. It would take Arsenal to win 6, 7, 8, 9-0 for this game, in my opinion, to turn around and be like, wow, Arsenal were awesome in that game. You've also got to factor in the fact that we've got a highly rotated side, and there's players playing out of position, there's players playing at like left back and left centre back. Kolasinac playing as a centre back. Xhaka obviously dropping in as well, which I didn't like. I don't know. I'm a little bit confused, if I'm honest, about the whole Xhaka dropping in at centre back. It worries me. It worries me because I'm worried that he's going to start doing it in games, and Xhaka isn't going to be partnered with Thomas Partey. And it's nice to have an option, especially when we're kind of going through a little bit of a centre-back crisis. But it's also frustrating. It's frustrating that Xhaka would drop in. Now, that's not to say he wasn't bad, and he was very good. And obviously, we love talking about Xhaka on the channel in a positive way, always. But it's just, I don't know what it is. Let me know what you think in the comment section. But it's just something about Arteta's willingness to kind of play him in that role that it just doesn't sit right with me. It just doesn't, and it won't sit right with me. So that's that. But other than that, I was very pleased with how things went. I was pleased with the team that was put out there. I'm glad that the likes of Lacazette and Aubameyang were rested. Partey was rested. We got a huge game against Manchester United at the weekend, and we need to ensure that obviously as many of those players as feasibly possible are going to be fit and ready and available. Manchester United played RB Leipzig yesterday, absolutely obliterated them 5-0. Now, I don't think that the 5-0 is a fair representation of the game. Leipzig were decent. In fact, I think they had more of the possession of the ball than they did. It's just that United were very clinical. They took their chances, and Arsenal ultimately need to really watch that on Sundays, that we need to limit the amount of chances that we give Manchester United, because they are riding high, their confidence is up, and they're going to have players back like Bruno Fernandes, who didn't obviously play in that game as well. So let's talk about the players who of course played. Now, the first goal scorer, Eddie Nketiah, was very fortunate. It was fortuitous to see the ball arrive in the area where he was to get on the end of it. Good to see him score, though. Will do his confidence the world of good. So that's always going to be a positive thing, to see Eddie Nketiah get on the score sheet and to see him scoring goals. Joe Willock as well, someone who... The thing about Joe Willock is... Joe Willock is an interesting player because he looks like he's got all the talent in the world. And in fact, if you were to ask me how old Joe Willock is off the top of my head, I couldn't even tell you, because there's just something about him that makes you feel like he's only 12. He's 21 from just having looked it up. But I would have never thought that he's 21 years old. And the fact that he is 21 and the stage that he's kind of at in his development, all the signs tell me that he should be ahead of things. He should be getting more regular minutes in the Premier League at this stage. And I mean starting games if he's going to have a future at the club. And I always kind of talk about the young players, and I'm very critical. Maybe I'm a little bit too harsh sometimes on some of the young players, and that's only because I want them to succeed and I want the club to be in the best position it possibly can be. But for me, Joe Willock, who had a good game today, against Dundalk. There's always that caveat. Scored a good goal, really great finish. But it's just something niggling away at me that just makes me think that maybe he isn't going to make it. And I don't know what it is. And I'd love him to. And I'd love him to prove me wrong. That I area as well. Both of those players, I just kind of have that horrible sinking feeling that I'm just not quite sure they're gonna get there. But it was great to see them both score. If they can keep it up, if they can score against the bigger sides, if they can get more minutes in the Premier League and really try and turn on the style and be consistent and really turn it up and get to the level that they need to be, if they're going to be at the Arsenal in the long term, then great, fantastic. I just, it's just something. I don't know what it is. There's just something. Nelson kind of gives me that feeling as well. And Ross Taylor says there, Willock, Nelson and Eddie reckons that they won't make it either. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's just something that I just can't quite get my head around. Samir says, Tom can't praise Willock even when he's good. I don't want to come across like I have this agenda against Willock. I don't mean to. It's just, he's a very difficult player for me to talk about. Because like Arsenal's centre midfield and the centre attacking midfield, it's such a key area for us. It's a real... Have I gone off the screen? No, I'm back again. I don't know what happened there. I can't click your comment for some reason. It stopped me from doing that. That's weird. But Rodney says, what does making it actually mean? As far as academy players go, or academy football goes, I think they've made it pretty far. And that's completely fair enough. Please let me know if connection-wise I'm still coming through. And I'm not frozen anymore. Making it like... There's a difference between, say, making it as a professional footballer and then you have making it as an Arsenal player, and then you have making it as a world-class player. And these happen at different stages throughout players' careers. Sometimes it happens really early on. Sometimes it happens much later. You look at the likes of Kylian Mbappe, becomes unbelievably good and world-class at the age of 19 years old, which is unreal. And it's a complete anomaly, and it's just something that you don't often see. And then there are other players that become much, much better. Edwin van der Sar, for instance, as an example, becomes a world-class keeper at a much later age in his career. And some players just develop at different ages. And I suppose making it, Rodney, at Arsenal, because we're here to talk about, obviously, from an Arsenal perspective, week in, week out, and being influential to win games on a consistent basis, to be a quality midfielder for a club that is pushing for top four and hopefully bigger things in the future. And if you're going to ask me whether I thought that Willock was going to be that player, that's where I kind of struggle. But I pray that I'm wrong. I really do. And I'll never turn around to criticise players in any way to make them think that I don't want them to succeed. It's purely being analytical from a critical standpoint. I mean, to be constructive, what Willock needs to do is be a lot more physical and consistent in terms of when he plays on a higher level, creating assists, scoring goals from an attacking midfield position. But he needs to get minutes to be able to be given the opportunity. And is he going to get those minutes regularly in the Premier League right now? Probably not. So Rodney, I hope that makes some sense to you. Tomodo10 says, I understand the frustrations. He could be a brilliant player, just sometimes he picks the wrong pass. And today he was brilliant. Time for him to keep it up. And that's the thing, is that he was great today, and I need to see him carry that on. I need and go into the Premier League games and start off playing against some of the lower half sides, and then start playing against the bigger teams and really bossing the games. There's flashes that we see of brilliance from Willock and Nketiah and Nelson, but it's just something. I don't get that spark like I get the spark from Gabriel Martinelli, which is horrible, because I want these young English guys to succeed, and that's big for me. I love seeing young English guys come through the club and succeed as an Englishman, as someone who supports an English club. It's great to see homegrown players come through, but these guys aren't giving me the same spark as, say, Martinelli or Saka, or even to a lesser extent Smith Rowe, which is probably really unfair because we've barely seen him, but he has been injured. And when I watched him at Huddersfield, I did get that spark. Seeing the highlights back, going and watching him back, going on to Y Scout and watching Emile Smith-Rowe's highlights and the way that he plays and the way that he dragged that Terrier team forwards and away from relegation, I got that feeling inside me that I think that maybe Emile Smith-Rowe could be that guy. I just don't quite get it. And I didn't get it from Nelson before he went on loan to Hoffenheim. I thought that we've got this young guy here. Is he going to be amazing? It's a big ask. It's a very small chance I thought he would. But when you look at like the difference in talent and the consistency and the top level performance of those guys compared to, say, Bukayo Saka, that's where you see the difference between what I'm talking about and what making it is. Saka is making it because he's doing amazing things on a consistent basis at the top level. Now, there aren't only youngsters that you have to worry about. Pepe, since coming in, has not obviously performed at the level of what a £72 million player should. He's been okay. 18 goal contributions last season is good, but he still concerns me. I'm still not convinced by Pepe. Today, fantastic goal. Fantastic goal. Keep it up. It is Dundalk. Like, I will keep caveating that. It is a team that arguably would be playing in a much lower division in the English league. It's great to see him score his right foot as well, obviously, knowing that he's got that. It makes him less predictable. Anything that's going to make Pepe less predictable is a good thing. Always going to be a good thing. What else have we got to talk about? In terms of the midfield, we saw El Neni play, consistent again. Can't really ask for too much other than that. Tomodo says, will Smith-Rowe be fit for next week's game against Mulder? Apparently, hopefully is what I thought he might be fit for today. He wasn't, which I'm gutted about. Victor Eckwood says, enjoyed seeing the young talent today. 100%. Thibaut Pest says, Nelson tried hard tonight. Is he a better option than Pepe on the right? No. And I'll tell you what, am I more inclined to play Nelson, who hasn't convinced me a lot when he's played, or am I more inclined to try and play our £72 million signing and play him into form? Because he's not going to pay back that 72 million quid on the bench. He might not ever pay it back even if he plays, but there's more of a chance if he's playing. Now, who am I starting on the right wing against Man United? Is it going to be Pepe? I'm leaning more towards, ironically, Willian being involved. Now, I'm not sure where we're going to field these players, whether Lacazette's going to be playing as the false nine, where Willian will play there again, whether Willian will go wide and Saka will play at 10. I don't know how we're going to set up against Man United. The preview show on Saturday is going to be a nightmare to try and predict what we're going to do, because it's really tough. But Pepe needs to get more games, needs to score more goals to get his confidence up. And the club would be more inclined to give Pepe game time over someone like Reiss Nelson. It may seem harsh. I know that Nelson needs minutes, but in the big games, the Premier League games, you need to blood Pepe. You need to continue trying to get him into top form. And by subbing him and not playing him, he's never going to get close to paying back that £72 million. And that is what you need to consider. There comes a time where you need to cut the rope, to say, we made a mistake. To have an Angel Di Maria at Manchester United moment, we made an error. We got this wrong. Is that a year after we've signed him? No. Could it be 2.5, 3 years after? Possibly. But now you need to keep playing him. You need to play him to get him into form, to get his confidence up, because his confidence has taken a massive hit. You have to admit that. He's coming to a very, very different system. And that means that, and I mean, Victor, you say it there, and you sum up what I say time and time again. He's a counter-attacking player, and I hope that he can develop his game into being what we need. But he came from a Lille side that was really around counter-attacking and hitting people on the break, teams on the break, and scoring off that. But Pepe isn't going to be that guy. Let's have your thoughts on Runnison. Daniel Roberts says Runnison's distribution looked very good, which he did. And I was very impressed by his distribution. Didn't have to do much today. But it's good to see him get a run out. Hopefully he plays again against Mulder. I think that we should be giving him opportunities. I mean, the game against Rapid Vienna, I can see why we went with Leno. Probably going to be the hardest game of the group, and Leno messed it up. But it's important that you give him game time. Otherwise, when it ever comes, say if Leno ever gets injured and you've got a keeper on the bench that hasn't played at all, then you're only shooting yourself in the foot. So whilst I don't mind Leno playing some of the Europa League games, especially going into the knockout rounds, Runnison should be given minutes. Zamir says, here come the Runnison over Leno fans. Don't do that, Zamir. Don't tempt them into saying silly things like that. And is there anything else we should talk about, I suppose? Cedric looked okay. Mainsley looked okay. It's a really hard game to analyse because of the quality of the opposition being so low. Ronnie says Runnison had the easiest debut I've ever seen, which is 100% spot on. So, yeah. In terms of what we got next, Manchester United, it's tough. We're going to talk about more about on the preview show. I've taken up some of your time this evening. What I would like you to do is go and hop over to a Bergkamp Wonderland because our boy Owen Young is over there right now. I only had this period of time in the evening to jump on and do the show, and apologies for clashing time schedules. So what you should do to help me forgive them is you should all hop over to a Bergkamp Wonderland and go listen to those guys. They usually start straight after me, so make sure you do. Balogun. Yes, sorry, Zamir, we haven't talked about Balogun. Very briefly, very short cameo. Didn't really get much of the ball. I mean... What I don't know what more to say. That was it, really. He came in good. Yeah, I've not really seen anything yet. I'm still waiting for the hype to prove itself. Still, maybe if he starts against Mulder, maybe if he gets more minutes, maybe. But it was Dundalk today. I'm going to keep saying that it was Dundalk. So yeah. Been a pleasure to speak to you guys. Please drop a like on the video. Please go watch the video we did earlier on today talking about the top 5 youngsters I think Arsenal should sign. Please go and watch some of the other content. Please hop over to a Bergkamp Wonderland now and go listen to Danny and Owen continuing to talk about this. Again, sorry guys, apologies for the clash. Couldn't help myself. I couldn't help it is the way I wanted to phrase that sentence. But yeah, it's been a pleasure to speak to you guys. I will speak to you again very, very, very soon. Exclusive interview on 101 with me and Alan Smith, not on video, written article coming out of Alan Smith tomorrow. So keep your eyes peeled, not tomorrow, Saturday. On Saturday, keep your eyes peeled over at 101 for an exclusive interview with Alan Smith talking about Arteta, Saliba, Aubameyang, Lacazette, all of that juicy stuff. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled towards 101 on Saturday. I'll make sure I send over the link to everyone, of course. It's been a pleasure to speak to you. I've said that 3 times now. See you soon, guys. Up the Arsenal.